Talk 1580's third annual Black History Month luncheon, and you're invited. This is year 2 of our climate justice work, and this year's $2 million 12-month campaign is all about linking and combating the relationship between climate and Black health. We already know that these wildfires will leave in their wake even greater inequities, including negative impacts on Black health, given the toxic air pollutants circulating in the air we breathe. So, as part of this year's climate campaign, we're honoring Black doctors and leaders in healthcare at our annual Black History Month luncheon, Friday, February 28th at noon. If you would like to join us, just go to our KBLA 1580 website and register for your chance to be our guest at the luncheon. We'd love to see you. And in case you haven't heard the news, KBLA Talk 1580 was just named one of the semifinalists for the American Climate Leadership Awards 2025. Caring about the climate, caring about the community, changing the conversation. We're KBLA Talk 1580, and we don't black down.
I can't wait till I get you on the floor, good looking. Hey, going hot so hot, just like an oven. And I'll burn myself, I just had to touch it. But it's so fine, and it's all mine. Hey, baby, we don't mind all the watching. Hi, 'cause if they study close, real close, they might learn something. She she does it, she's so fine tonight. And as long as I got my suit and tie, I'ma leave it all on the floor tonight. And you got fixed up to the nines, let me show you a few things. All dressed up in black and white, and you're dressed in that dress I like. Love is swinging in the air tonight, let me show you a few things. Let me show you a few things.
Welcome in. Happy Thursday. You are locked in with Jill Monroe here on KBLA Talk 1580. I could be wrong, but I believe that suit and tie was for me. I think it was for me. I think so. Shout out to me, giving a little menswear tonight with my tie. We'll get into why a little bit later. But you are locked in with Jill Monroe here on KBLA Talk 1580 for your entertainment news update. I hope that you are relaxed. Maybe have a libation, a beverage, a snack or two, because we are going to get into some things tonight. We are going to be breaking it all down, starting with Apple TV Plus. They're bringing a star-studded documentary to us, and it's all about Black Hollywood. It's a 2-part series, so we're going to get into the details of that. And the title of it is First on the Call Sheet, and we'll get into what that means and how that relates to our other topic. It's Thursdays. So Thursdays mean that we get all up in the business, all up into it with DH baby Damon Haley, into the business of entertainment and sports. So we're going to be talking about the Oscars and Black Hollywood and the economic impact. Does casting Black actors boost the industry financially? Is there real money still behind the camera for Black directors? And how does that all transfer into dollars and cents for the culture and where they're placed? We're going to have a conversation around that. And, tomorrow, February 28th, is the economic boycott, right? We've heard a lot about it. It's a blackout, a brownout, a whiteout, whatever. It's an out. We are pulling our dollars from retail, big brand stores, online, and so forth. You're supposed to, if you do need to shop, go with your local businesses. Go now, or Black-owned businesses. That's what is supposed to happen in theory. But what we're going to get into a little bit is, are Black celebrities standing on business with this as well? Are they talking about it? We're going to talk a little bit about that and, a whole lot more. And like I mentioned, Damon Haley is in studio with us, the entrepreneur and business strategist behind Glow and Flow Beauty and Slayyy Hair. So we're going to get all up in the business about all of that. But before we get into all of those topics, got a couple of conversation starters, just things that you need to know, of course. So first up, remember we heard about that FS1 lawsuit, and it involved Joy Taylor, and some were questioning Joy still being on the air with such accusations being levied at her. Well, For the last 4 days, Joy has been absent from FS1 Speak. And, the rumors are swirling. Fox Sports isn't saying much, but a report suggests that Joy may have been sidelined by the network as, this lawsuit is being worked through. No confirmation on that. She's denied all claims, but she was hosting on one of the biggest stages during Super Bowl weekend. So, is there truth to it? Is she just taking a little bit of time off? We'll have to see. And speaking of, because the legal docket is always thick. We used to have the Law and Order sound effect go off because we had so much legal news for a while. Yeah, Andy, we might have to bring that back. Also, Kevin Liles, big music industry guy, connected with a lot of our golden era hip hop acts and labels and so forth. Music exec that everyone knows. He's worked with D'Angelo, Young Thug, more. He's facing a lawsuit from a Jane Doe alleging sexual assault from the early 2000s while he was at Def Jam. The lawsuit was filed under the New York Victims of Gender-Motivated Violence law, the same law that Diddy saw those lawsuits with, starting off with Cassie get filed under. There's no comment yet from Lyle's, Def Jam, or Universal Music Group, but we know that there have been several in connection to this law that have come to light. So we'll have to see how that plays off. Look, when we come forward, we're going to get into the Black Hollywood star-studded documentary. We're going to get all up in the business of entertainment and sports tonight, and more trending topics. You're locked in with Jill Monroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
Your ride with Jill Monroe on KBLA Talk 1580. Who cares about the black community in Altadena? We do. On Saturday, March 8th at 10 a.m., it's the premiere of Conversation Live, Altadena Rising with James Farr. This new weekly show will explore the deep roots and resilience of Altadena's black community as we track its recovery and reimagine its future. From relief efforts to rebuilding, we're raising up voices, stories, and solutions to build back Black Altadena better and stronger than ever. It's Conversation Live, Altadena Rising with James Farr, every Saturday at 10 a.m. beginning Saturday, March 8th, with an encore presentation, Sundays at noon.
James Farr, the man who is the voice for Black Los Angeles.
At KBLA Talk 1580, we've got your black.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now.
800-550-9651.
Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS.
Generous programs are now available that can give you a fresh start.
Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems.
We have over 1,000 five-star reviews on Google and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau.
You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at TRA.com
or call 800-550-9651. That's 800-550-9651.
Tax Relief Advocates. Real solutions for real people.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580 reminds you that we keep us safe. Every girl deserves a chance to shine. That's the belief behind Forgiving for Living, Inc. Since 1999, this organization has been empowering at-risk girls ages 13 to 18, helping them overcome behavioral and mental health challenges. Founder Wendy Gladney's personal journey inspired the mission to give girls hope and purpose through the power of forgiveness. Through their ambassador program, workshops, and annual conference, Forgiving for Living has touched over 3,000 young lives, providing mentoring, life skills, training, and tools for building self-esteem and confidence. You can make a difference. Visit forgivingforliving.org to donate, volunteer, become a mentor, or find help for a young girl in need. Forgiving for Living, Inc., building brighter futures for young girls. Visit forgivingforliving.org today. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Now back to more entertainment news with Jill Monroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
Welcome back into Jill Monroe's entertainment news update. You know, your front row seat to the culture. Well, we're going to get into this documentary. It's giving Black Hollywood their flowers. And like I mentioned, it's a 2-part documentary on Apple TV Plus. Listen, I know a lot of people do not have Apple TV Plus, but you should check it out. There's really a lot of great shows on there. You know, some people joke that Apple TV Plus have the best shows of some of the streamers that you never see, but they all seem to be award winning. So this one probably will follow suit. As I mentioned, it's a 2-part documentary. It's featuring names like Denzel Washington, Will Smith, Halle Berry, Viola Davis, Eddie Murphy, John Boyega, Don Cheadle, Morris Chestnut, Ice Cube, Taye Diggs, The Rock, Idris Elba, Lawrence Fishburne. I mean, you get the point, right? Like all of the big names, right? And it is split into 2 parts because the first part will focus on Black leading men in Hollywood. It's directed by my old boss, Reginald Hudlin, who just directed the NAACP Image Awards this weekend. So shout out to him. And number 1 on the call sheet is basically taking us through Hollywood. It's testimonies of successful people who've overcome all types of obstacles to make their dreams come true, right? It doesn't matter what business you're in, according to Hudlin. It is about learning the mindset, their grit, their unique definitions of success. And it's hoping to be an inspiration to everybody who watches, right? One of the things that they noted is we don't really have a collective testimonial from, you know, Black leads, Black actors in that fashion of a particular time period. And if you think about from the 2010s up till now, it's been sort of a renaissance. I called it like the golden renaissance of Black television. You know, it started off with shows like Blackish, it extended to Empire and things like that. And we've just seen a wealth of Black TV that we hadn't seen in such a way since the 90s. That includes streamers and all sorts of things. We've seen lots of different, in addition to our old faithfuls and favorites like Morris Chestnut, in leading various TV shows, coming back. You can think about some of the work that we have seen over that time period, but it carries a certain amount of responsibility with it. And there's a lot of challenges, as with anything, being the first of a few, and all of the things that go along with that. The women's side of the documentary features Angela Bassett, Halle Berry, I mentioned some of these names, Whoopi, Vivica, Cynthia Erivo, Megan Good, Gabrielle Union, Tiffany Haddish, Taraji P. Henson, on and on and on. But with the Academy Awards coming up this weekend, and obviously there is not as much, you know, brownness as perhaps some would have liked. You know, Cynthia's nominated, but really, for the most part, for Wicked, it's been an interesting award season because as popular as it was, as much as the soundtrack was discussed, it has been sort of absent in this award period. We know Sing Sing is also nominated, which is a film that takes place in the 60s around, you know, youth serving in the juvenile system and so forth. But DH, baby, Damon, let's get into what it means as far as the economic impact of Black talent surrounding the Oscars, and how does that sort of permeate out and, you know, make us all dollars in the culture?
Yeah, it's not a lot. You have Cynthia, and I think Coleman is up for
Sing Sing.
Yeah, for that one. So when you have actors, that's a lot different than having writers, producers, directors. And so back in the 90s, we probably had more writers, producers, directors that were coming forward. But this Oscars doesn't necessarily, and not that the genre calls for that, because we know the Oscars are more artistic and doesn't have anything to do with box office, but the conversation isn't around, I don't know, a Malcolm Lee or a F. Gary Gray,
right,
who we haven't heard of in a while, Kenya's television. We know he's not, movie, but we don't have that. So when you have the writer, producer, director, you have more of an infrastructure of people who might look like us because it tends to be their crew, so to speak. But when you just have actors and actresses, then you're really just plugging in. They're doing extremely well, but the industry isn't. I don't know. Maybe you'll be able to be someone's barber. Maybe you'll be able to be someone's makeup person because we know how to deal with hair and all that kind of stuff. That used to be a problem back in the day.
Right, it really did.
It really
did. You
did.
can look at some of the old TV shows and films, and you can tell, boy, they definitely did not have a black hairstylist on set.
I will say, honestly, that has changed a lot because obviously I'm in the hair business, so I know. I was liaising with Abbott Elementary not too long ago, some of the other kind of primetime shows. But those are the types of things that make it trickle down to just people who just do jobs, who do work behind the camera and all of that kind of stuff. But I love Morris Chestnut because when I was with UMCA, I had an agency. I call it the Chestnut years. In the 90s, when he was just a doctor, a lawyer, and all that, we were able to work on those projects because it was a cultural scenario around it and Hollywood couldn't figure it out. So I think that we need more writers, producers, directors overall. I know the Oscars is just one weekend, but like we just don't have that, which means where's the special effects? Where's the makeup? Where's the music behind some of the Oscar stuff? So it's tough when we don't have it.
So there is a composer. His name is Chris. Oh, God, I need to Google Chris's last name. He's been Oscar nominated, done several things. We honored him through AFCA, African American Film Critics Association, a couple of years back. And so they are out there, but as the industry is shifting, and we know the industry right now is in contraction a bit, not a bit, but, strikes and now the fires and just what was happening overall as far as productions recording in California. You were right. It is much harder. Part of the whole thing with the writer's strike was how hard it is to get those entry-level jobs that move up. There's a lot about the fellowships that are offered for people to get in there. And they would hold space for these jobs. But once the network or the production company was no longer paying for that particular slot, paying the salary of, they wouldn't hire those people into the job so that they could earn their reps and move up into the system. And with us being hit and the DEI rollbacks and so forth, even though it's shown that diversity is good for business. And I mean, it's a no-brainer as to why. It's more inclusive so everybody can see themselves. Yeah. It's kind of what I likened back in the day to why I felt like groups with, boy bands or girl groups or whatever were so popular with teens because everybody could have their personality fit. There's someone for everybody, So if you like a shy guy, there's one of those. If you like the boy next door, they got one of those. The bad boy, he's right there. So everybody loves the group because everybody has something they can connect to. And I feel like that is the same thing, with film. Like, on the flip side of that, I don't have a problem with productions that, that are stories about certain people. Not everybody has white neighbors. Not everybody has black neighbors. And I'm okay to tell those stories too. It's just, don't leave us out of everything. You can't have a show like Friends in New York and we don't even see a black person on the subway. Come on now. I was looking at like old episodes of A Different World, season 1, and we know it was a different show before Debbie Allen took over and put the realness of Howard University into every aspect of it. But I noticed, I was like, there's so many white students in the background of this HBCU in the 80s.
In the 80s.
Yeah. Just, Well,
Melissa Tomei was a primary.
She was. And the thing was, when I was looking, I'm like, it was still funny, but it wasn't culturally relevant in the way that it was when it took over. So,
well, the interesting thing is you have that diversity, with white folks in the back and all of that, because somebody in front of the writer, producer, director of the first season said, well, that's how my life is, and I feel that I should incorporate that. And it's okay, because
Right.
we know the difference. That's the power and the beauty of having us write, produce, direct, because not only is it just authentic, but we'll hook up people that we want to hook up. And that's part of Hollywood, right? That's part of the hookup game. So when we're not in a power position to provide those hookups, we don't get how to do movies. We don't get how to do the process. I was on set. Shout out to Sherry McGee. We were joking, and she put me on the set of the Parkers.
Okay.
That 2 or 3 days, I learned how they do television, and I understood it. Now, I didn't go back the following week when they called me, because it just wasn't my thing.
Right.
You know, but, you know, my wife Diane has done 4 or 5 TV shows. I'm in the back studying next to the NBC executive, understanding. Now, I haven't done anything in television, but I know it. And if I wanted to use it, I could. That's the power of having just a few spots to be able to advance all of us. Now, all the names you mentioned in the Apple Plus, first on calling card, they're going to get theirs. All of those names I knew. Viola, all that, they're going to get theirs. But there's so much other opportunity and dollars out there that when they get somebody like a unique talent like a Denzel, he's not able to hook it up. Now, he's done a great deal with his family, piano lessons, all that kind of stuff. We just need to do more of that.
So when you think about it, right, there are streaming services that have been launched by, black producers that put out black talent. We know Tubi, though owned by Fox, has been a big proponent of black independent features. You can submit your film to Tubi, they might accept it, and you, much like people get paid from YouTube views and things like that, you can make money on Tubi with your film. Detroit is the Tubi movie capital of the United States. There's a lot of productions that are happening there, and we laugh and we make jokes about some of the quality of some of the films, but it's an upstart. They are building something, and though if maybe 5 or 6 of those are really, really bad, right, but 2 might be pretty good, and they're learning on the job. And is that more of how you see the future and economic growth for us in entertainment, is really honing into the aspect of independence, even though we know with that, much like in business, as we've talked about over the weeks, financing is the big thing.
Yeah, I mean, Rupert Murdoch does not have a problem with the quality on Tubi, because he saw the same thing with Fox. He utilized certain Arsenio, Keenan Iyer, all of that stuff that was on Fox early on that was deeply cultural.
Rock.
All that stuff, right, that might have needed better writers and all that kind of stuff. It developed Fox into what it is now. And then he got football, and then it was over. Tubi, yeah, that model is something that anybody can take, any individual can take, because it's ownership, it's streaming, so it's a different sharing possibility. Once again, we need to learn that model and then come together and duplicate it. Like everybody who's on that documentary, I'd love for there to be a project to advance projects through that.
So I should say, as we mentioned, this documentary was produced by Kevin Hart, Jamie Foxx, and Datari Turner, who produces a lot of things behind the scenes. Actually, do you know where I met Datari?
Where?
It's probably going to be the same place where you did. He was one of Lynn Jeter's clients.
Oh, okay.
That's where I met him. Lynn Jeter is a publicist that was here in LA, dealt with a lot of black talent early on, fostered a lot of people you are familiar with. She was their soft spot in between. I'm struggling to get on and I'm not quite up here yet. So she filled in the gap. So I want to ask you, because we talk a lot about coming together and pooling our resources. What is enough? Is enough one time? Does it need to be a pipeline? Because, someone like Issa Rae, who has pulled people up through the ranks that started in the writer's room with her, has done productions, locally. obviously is an independent. Do we need to be focusing more on that and stop relying so heavily on the mainstream or the main outlets, as we see what just happened even in news with Joy Reid and the others being let go, and that, well, this show did not have high ratings. Ratings dropped across the board, but the people of color have moved on. Do you really think that independence is really the way that we make our mark?
I think it's a heavy degree of independence, and maybe it's partnership and independence. And so now partnership tends to be the heavy, seems to be well above 50%. And independence seems to be, smaller. So 80-20, say. Independence should be like the 80, because when you're independent, you have an infrastructure. You don't need anyone else, but in order to grow, you need someone else or some entity. So, and in all fairness to all the actors and it might not be your thing. You might want to just act, and that's what I do. I'm a thespian, and I go home and I go to sleep, or I deal with my family. I don't want to build or do anything extraordinary. However, I do think that the responsibility is understanding the challenge that most of your people have, and coming back and helping your people and enabling or funding those that want to do that.
Okay, when we come forward, we're going to get more into this topic. We're going to talk about the economic boycott that is taking place tomorrow, February 28th, and more trending topics and headlines, of course. You are locked in with Jill Monroe here on KBLA Talk 1580, news, traffic, and sports on the other side.
They're just like us, girl, they wish they had it. Ooh, my killer, my thriller. Yeah, you're a classic, and you're all mine tonight. As long as I got my suit and tie, I'ma leave it all on the floor tonight. And you got fixed up to the nines. Let me show you a good thing. All dressed up in black and white, and you're dressed in that dress I like. Love is swinging in the air tonight. Let me show you a good thing.
You're in the know with Jill Monroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
I'm Amber Payton with 4 Things You Should Know with BIN News. President Trump is announcing tariffs on Canada, Mexico, and China starting March 4th, citing fentanyl concerns. He says they'll stay until the drug flow stops, with broader tariffs set for April 2nd. Wall Street is closing lower following today's news on tariffs. The S&P 500 continued its February decline, dropping over 1.5%. This after President Trump announced tariffs against Canada and Mexico would proceed as planned. Black New York City Council Speaker Adrienne Adams is inching towards a mayoral run, filing paperwork to explore a challenge to Black Mayor Eric Adams. Meanwhile, several Democratic candidates debated in Soho, but Mayor Adams withdrew, citing legal advice. And Chicago is adding 50 new speed cameras this year, though locations remain undisclosed. Black Mayor Brandon Johnson says they'll help fund police positions, but critics cite racial ticketing disparities. Get BIN News on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
Couple of things on the West 134. First, at Brand Boulevard in Glendale, an earlier crash cleared from lanes, but you still have a backup from Glendale Avenue. Up ahead, heading through Burbank on the West 134, just before Hollywood Way. It's a 2-vehicle collision clearing out of one of the left-hand lanes. West 134, slow going again from the 5 to the North Hollywood Freeway split. 110 northbound before 6th Street in downtown LA. Watch for a stalled vehicle taking up lanes.
If you or someone you know is affected by the Los Angeles wildfires, you are not alone. No matter how sad, scared, or heartbroken you feel, CalHope is here for you and all those affected by the devastating wildfires. Find free, safe, and confidential mental health support at calhope.org.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
The hottest rumor in the sports world today is a report that Rams quarterback Matthew Stafford had a meeting this week with Tom Brady at a ski resort in Montana. Stafford and Brady were at the ski resort at the same time, but Brady's agent is denying that they met to talk about Stafford's future. What sounded the alarm for a lot of people is that Brady is a part owner of the Las Vegas Raiders. and the Raiders are looking for a quarterback. Stafford's future with the Rams is unclear. The Rams have given the 37-year-old Stafford permission to talk with NFL teams to determine his market value. Top-level NFL quarterbacks are averaging $45 to $50 million a year. Stafford is scheduled to earn $24 million with the Rams next season. It seems the Rams have some issues giving Stafford that much of a raise. One thing is certain, the Rams will make a decision on Stafford fairly soon. The NFL draft begins April 24th. Stay tuned on this situation. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
It's KBLA Talk 1580's third annual Black History Month luncheon, and you're invited. This is year 2 of our climate justice work, and this year's $2 million 12-month campaign is all about linking and combating the relationship between climate and black health. We already know that these wildfires will leave in their wake even greater inequities, including negative impacts on black health, given the toxic air pollutants circulating in the air we breathe. So, as part of this year's climate campaign, we're honoring black doctors and leaders in healthcare at our annual Black History Month luncheon, Friday, February 28th at noon. If you would like to join us, just go to our KBLA 1580 website and register for your chance to be our guest at the luncheon. We'd love to see you. And in case you haven't heard the news, KBLA Talk 1580 was just named one of the semifinalists for the American Climate Leadership Awards 2025. Caring about the climate, caring about the community, changing the conversation. We're KBLA Talk 1580, and we don't black down.
Looking for a purposeful and passionate way to make a difference in your community? Volunteer with our Senior Medicare Patrol and help prevent Medicare fraud. S&P volunteers work in their community educating peers about healthcare fraud and how to prevent and detect it. Free training starts soon. Check us out online or at an S&P open house near you. We're on a mission to stop fraud. Join our team. You make a difference. Visit caspvolunteer.org. Protect yourself from Medicare card scams. Scammers may call, email, or even knock on your door claiming they need your Medicare info, asking for money or threatening to cancel your benefits. Don't fall for it. It's a scam. Remember, Medicare doesn't need to verify your information. They already have it. Medicare won't charge you for a new card and will never threaten to cancel benefits. Check your Medicare statements for suspicious charges and report scams to the California Senior Medicare Patrol at 1-855-613-7080. We're here to help.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
Imagine a Los Angeles where everyone can thrive, where communities have access to the resources they need to succeed. That's the vision of Detours Mentoring Group, Inc. They're dedicated to improving life in LA County by providing educational support, employment assistance, and spaces for community engagement. By 2050, they want LA to be the best place to connect, create, learn, live, and play. They're working toward an education system that's well-resourced and culturally responsive, becoming a hub for artists and innovators, and making sure everyone has access to healthy food, quality healthcare, and safe housing. It's about building a future where we all have the chance to succeed. We invite you to learn more about their mission and get involved with Detours Mentoring Group, Inc. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
You're listening to Jill Monroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
Back in. You are locked into KBLA Talk 1580. Here with Jill Monroe and your entertainment news update. Shout out to Chile, Rosanda Chili Thomas. Happy birthday, Chili. I believe it is 54. So happy 54th birthday to Chili. Come on now, Baby was a bop. Oh, baby. Listen, the 90s was a good time, right? For culture, for music, for TV, for film. And now, still a good time, but just a little bit different vibes. You couldn't have told me that in my adult years I would be living through the civil rights movement again, the stuff I watched on TV. That's how it feels. Andy's looking shocked, but I am tired of unprecedented times becoming before all of this stuff. And it kind of feels like when, Eyes on the Prize Part 3, that famous documentary that was launched, I think first in the 70s, 80s, that documented the Black struggle. Part 3 to this, a new updated version of it, I believe was just released or will be released coming up. And you think about what has taken place in the past 30 years since the last installment, so much has happened. Think about what the cell phone has done and changed for everything as far as media, all of those things. We talk about Blockbuster being gone and record stores and just how we get our entertainment, how we look at our sports, because as much as we talk about ratings are down, which, they are, not the Christmas game, but there's some things. It also is a difference into how we look at sports, how we view them, highlights our king in a different sort of fashion. We don't have to wait for one show to utilize them, to see them, right? We can get our own mix of them. We can watch anything at any given time. I don't have to be in front of my TV at 8 o'clock to watch a show. I could watch that show at 4 in the morning, and run it back. So how we consume is all different. So there's an economic blackout that is supposed to take place tomorrow. Oh, first of all, if you guys want to get on the conversation, 800-920-1580. Follow us everywhere, KBLA 1580. Me personally, I'm at Stiletto Jill. And one thing before we get into this, because I promised I would mention this, shout out to Kieran Price, LA City Councilman. He had a luncheon today along with Mayor Karen Bass that honored Black media professionals in Los Angeles for their efforts, for their storytelling. Several KBLA members of on-air talent were honored, myself included.
Hey now.
Baby's first city honor. Thank you very much.
First of many.
Appreciate it. But shout out to them because in these, as I mentioned, unprecedented times where we're seeing an attack on Black media, right? Whether overt or covert, it's happening. We appreciate the acknowledgement and the support. And, Black voices are going to be important over these next couple of years as they have been. So that leads us to this conversation about the economic blackout that is taking place tomorrow. So I do like that it is one day, fairly easy to follow directions for the people because, people, Andy's laughing at me, but people are stubborn. They don't follow directions. They can't keep up. They don't have the endurance to go. I keep saying, if people really understood how long the Montgomery bus boycott was, they wouldn't make it.
I got to feed my kids.
Right. And you do. I'm not mad. I'm not trying.
Let's just say I need my stuff.
Right. I need my things.
Right.
So, I applaud taking one day to black out everything, and let's see if it makes an impact. The thing that I question that we have talked about is, and then what? What is our ask? We are showing our economic power, but I feel they know that. They understand the dollars that we spend. Black people as a unit, we over-index on entertainment, right? We are one of the most fruitful as far as supporting retail and spending and luxury items and things of that nature. We like it. We like to be fly, right? But after we black them out, Are we asking to return to DEI? Are we asking just make sure we get the same equality? It's what is our ask, and what are we trying to pressure them to do?
I don't know what the ask is either. I really don't. I've gotten tons of emails and text messages and all that kind of stuff. Saw it on social. I think that one day, I'm not sure it's going to make a big difference. Will it make a difference? Yes. But I'm not sure it'll create transformation. It'll create change. Time will tell on that. I think that it is an economic blackout with the black community, but also the brown community has their thing going on too. Right. And so their thing going on, they're getting invaded by ICE. They're getting deported. They are going stronger at this thing than I think black folks, from what I've seen, because I'm in the consumer goods, so I have to see both. I have big box retail partners, things like that. So I'm hearing a lot more concern about what's going on in the brown community because they're getting physically assaulted. We aren't. We're not getting physically assaulted like that. So for us, I think that you're right. I'm curious to see what happens at the end of the day. I'm curious to see what is reported, because we're not going to know the economic impact because we're not in front of the numbers.
Yeah.
So we're not going to see it. Why would mainstream media or mainstream corporate America let us know that is creating an effect? Because then what? We'll realize the power. And so we know we're not going to get that. I'd be very, very surprised if we're going to get that, period. Or if we'll tell one another, hey, I'm off of this for a month. Hey, I'm not doing this, not just for a day, but for a month. Because who are we attacking? Okay, is it Amazon? So you're not doing the Amazon thing? You're not doing Google? You're not doing Meta? I mean, all of these entities are saying the same thing. You can't just say, I'm not going to Walmart or Target or McDonald's. I mean, there's a lot of what we need to live on that would change our lives. That's interconnected to this thing. I mean, there are lists out there. You know who supported, the current administration, and you know who didn't. Okay, so what's the full list? I mean, it's like if the doctor was telling I was dying, and if I don't eat these things, I could live. Okay, I know my dad died. I cleaned out chitlins out of his refrigerator the day after he died. He knew he shouldn't eat it, but he did. And I let it ride. So once again, are we holding ourselves accountable? I don't think so.
Andy?
I'm going to just say that I think that it's important for us to at least have this practice, right? And while we figure out that solution, let's create a habit for us in doing that. Like we said, our spending power is strong. Let's hold off a little bit, and let's organize, and let's figure out what that solution is, what the answer is to that question.
When we come forward, we're going to get more into this topic, and we will, hear some more feedback from the chat, from Damon Haley and Andy, and me too. All that and more on the other side.
Your ride with Jill Monroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
This Black History Month, AARP celebrates everyday excellence. The folks who show up, step into their roles, and make a difference in their community and their career. The ones whose stories often go untold, but whose impact is felt in every corner of our society. At AARP, we support everyday excellence with resources for staying competitive in the workforce. Find career resources to support you every day at aarp.org/work.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. The Autopsy Initiative provides a second autopsy free of charge for victims' families who have lost their loved ones due to a police-related death. The services offered through the initiative include the completion of a second autopsy, disclosure of preliminary findings, and a final autopsy report. A police-related death is when an individual is harmed by police officers using deadly force, which results in an individual's death. Police-related death includes in-custody deaths, including those that arise during contact with law enforcement officers during arrest, pursuit, booking, transport, or incarceration. The Autopsy Initiative has a team of board-certified pathologists on call. An autopsy request may be completed by anyone with a close relationship with the victim, which may include the victim's spouse, partner, relative, close friend, or lawyer. To request a free second autopsy for a victim of police violence, please visit knowyourrightscamp.com. That's knowyourrightscamp.com. Then click on Autopsy, then click on Request. At KBLA, we believe in justice for victims of police violence. We say their names, and we don't black down. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
The California Crusader newspaper would like to thank all of our subscribers for their support throughout the years, proudly serving the South Los Angeles and South Bay areas for more than 40 years. The California Crusader is a multicultural, black-owned, adjudicated newspaper that focuses on providing newsworthy information to the people in our community. We're constantly looking for ways to assist businesses in our community to connect with our subscribers. We provide low-cost, effective ways to promote your business with our reasonable and affordable advertising rates. You can participate by suggesting, sharing, and submitting your stories on the California Crusader newspaper Community Share Facebook group page, or visit our website at cal-cruise-news.com. That's calcruisenews.com. Then click on the Submit Now button located on the top right corner of the homepage, or text CCN to 42828. Again, text CCN to 42828. The California Crusader newspaper, working together to build a better community for our future. Subscribe today.
You're listening to Jill Monroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
Welcome back in to KBLA Talk 1580 with Jill Monroe here, giving you your entertainment news update. And of course, I'm not alone. I'm joined by Damon Haley, DH Baby.
Baby.
Entrepreneur, strategist, owner of Glow and Flow Beauty here in Inglewood and Hawthorne. Also, Slayyy Hair, available everywhere. Target, I'll get it today or Saturday, or get it directly from Glow and Flow or Slayyy Hair.
.com.
So let me get into a couple of these comments in the chat. Marketing CEO 2.0 says, definitely need more writers as far as behind the cameras as Hollywood goes. Morris Phillips says, the Oscars are about to be people showing off their new clothes. Pretty Brown Mimi also says, next year please get Dion Cole to host the Oscars. I haven't watched Conan O'Brien in years. You know, masses. Morris Phillips says, move to Africa for your production. But it's still a cost to that. And here's the thing. It's not just that. When you think about going and doing that, there is lodging that has to be paid for. There is, you know, meal day to day. There's the in-between days. So taking a production out of the country, there's more cost. You could hire locally, but you're gambling the dice. How much time do you have? You're going to need some boots on the ground that know the layout, but you're going to need your people too to pair those things together. Pretty Brown Mimi also says, Fox built that network on black culture, and when they didn't need us anymore, they went mainstream big time. They did. We saw it happen with Fox, UPN, CW, lather, rinse, repeat. But
soon
here's
to be Tubi.
Yeah, soon to be Tubi. I knew last year when I saw Tubi and the Super Bowl commercial, I was like, oh, they're out of here. They are out of here. You got money for a Super Bowl spot? What's really going on? Right? DJ Black 909 says, you know, as brothers, we love to play ball when we should learn to own the team. Well, you know, listen, but here's the starting thing too, right? It's not just that. What is the barrier to entry? It's much easier for me to go outside and pick up a ball than it is to figure out how I can get into corporate culture and get one of these people to mentor me. Do you know what I'm saying? So not saying that we absolutely should aspire to do all types of things, but I'm not going to act as if sometimes it can be hard to get up in these spaces. I have always said one of the best things that happened to me was having internships, being to take a quote, a title from a famous book, The Spook That Sat by the Door, almost, because you learn the infrastructure, you learn why they're making decisions, what is fueling those costs, so it helps you to be better in business, to understand what goals and things are made. I remember when I was at Nike and we did Battlegrounds every Saturday and Sunday. Was it Saturday and Sunday?
Yes,
or just
it was Saturday and Sunday.
At Venice Beach. And every Saturday I would be out there. And I didn't have to go every Saturday, but every Saturday I would be out there. And one day you said to me, you know, you don't have to come and stay all day. And I was like, I know. But I was watching. I wanted to understand. I wanted to understand what motivated the crowd. I wanted to understand why they left, what kept them there, the difference between the people that specifically came to the beach for that and the ones that were just tourists passing by. So, you know, there's power in sitting in those spaces. Andy?
And, you know, shout out to you, Miss Jill Monroe, Black Media. That's why it's important that you're here to spread, you know what I'm saying, an alternative perspective. And it's dope that we have every Thursday our brother Damon Haley as a businessman, CEO. You know what I'm saying? Like, so we're not just thinking about just picking up the ball and playing basketball. Now
Right.
I'm like, I can go ahead and own such and such business. So shout out to you guys.
Thank you so much for that.
I think it's you can't. The door is locked. You got to knock it down. That's just where we at right now in 2025. The doors are getting locked. We got to knock them down. Now, once again, for those that just want to play ball, dribble, and shut up, okay, that's cool because we have a bunch of those, like any society. Okay, cool. But those who aspire, we have to do more. We have to do better because it is tougher to learn. It is tougher to get out there, you know. And Michael Jordan, the most richest athlete, American athlete, I would say. Who'd he buy the team from?
Bob Johnson.
A black dude.
That's right.
The BET thing. And there's no other lead majority owners.
I mean, we even talked about,
Yeah.
do they really want LeBron to own, like, as good as it could be for the league and Goodwill, do they really want LeBron up there with them?
Well, he'll be a minority owner, I'll bet my life on.
Oh, you don't think he'll be able to
I'm just saying,
have
I'll
a group? I definitely think he'll be minority.
That he'll be a minority owner.
100%, but I'm talking about.
I'm not certain about betting my life on that.
That's
The
what
majority.
I'm asking. Okay.
I'm not certain. I wouldn't bet my life on it.
Andy?
What about Magic?
Magic
Johnson.
has always been a minority owner in all of the things that he has owned. Now, I listen, you know, Magic is my favorite player. I have part of my interest in business as it comes to sports and entertainment is because of Magic Johnson. But we know at the time, though it monumental, the moves that he were making were great for that time, but maybe not as far as out in business at the time as we would have liked, really. You know, in some instances, you got to crawl before you can walk. I guess that's what I'm trying to say.
We talked about it before about ownership and partnership. He has become a billionaire through partnership, not necessarily ownership, minority ownership and partnership, you know. And so that's one way to do it. I think where LeBron is, the story is untold, you know, because he's that next wave of he's a billionaire himself.
Right.
We haven't had an active player that's been a billionaire, active team sports player.
And in the way that he has done so.
Right.
Let me ask you this. Do you think movements like this can work without celebrity influence? Do everyday consumers really understand their power?
Nah. I don't think that a movement like this works without celebrity influence, the way our community works and the way our community moves. So if you go back to black and white stuff with civil rights, it was Harry Belafonte, Marlon Brando, Bill Cosby, all of these types of people on the side of the pictures, you know, of the photos. So once again, I think that when I see some of the Brown movement I see that's going to happen tomorrow, I see John Leguizamo. I see other Brown stars and notables because, once again, it's more severe. I don't know if I see anyone other than Sharpton, Roland Martin, and a handful of others that are talking about what we're talking now, because that partnership cannot go away with publicly traded companies.
Well, in the chat, DJ Black 909 says we need to quit asking for a seat at the white man's table and build our own. Fahima says Target has already had a stock fall. Further, it's folly not to use the one power we do have and where to spend our money. Andy is 1,000% correct. Pretty Brown Mimi says we're not getting physically assaulted, police brutality. I can't speak on Latinos, but this administration is literally trying to turn back time. We got to be real.
I agree. I agree. But when you talk about ICE, when you talk about just the moment of now, it's shaking them up in a way that they shutting down business. They shutting down streets.
Yeah.
In L.A. So we haven't shut down anything. Like, that's what, okay.
We did during George Floyd.
So tomorrow we'll see if we shut things down and act like we at war. Act like it. Not be at, but act like it. We'll see. I don't know. I don't know.
Listen, I appreciate that. It's a call. It's a challenge and holding us accountable, holding our feet to the fire, because we got to be the change we want to see, right?
That's right. A couple things. So on Saturday, after, February 28th, we got that Nipsey.
Marathon.
Well, Nipsey's Marathon Burger.
It's opening on Melrose, the opening.
1. You hit me to that, and I called up and congratulated them. So they're doing something to keep that, because that's what he was all about for the young people. And I like to see that March 1, So it can happen. We just have to be purposeful. And once again, if you're not going to do the publicly traded companies, that's great for small business, i.e. Glow and Flow.
Real quick, Glow and Flow Beauty is having a celebration on Saturday, Glow and Flow Hawthorne.
Yep.
Go check it out,
It's 2:00. We celebrating all black businesses and all black founders and saying, hey, let's go. And we're going to talk about what happened on the 28th, because it's different for us black business owners to see if we see the impact.
Amen. All right, make sure you guys are following Damon Haley on social media. Make sure you are hitting me up at Stiletto Jill. Thank you for clocking in. That was a loaded show. We got into so many thoughts. We got all up in the business with Damon Haley. Tomorrow, we're going to do the same thing again, 6 to 7 p.m. here on KBLA Talk 1580, where I'm giving you your front row seat to the culture. Shout out to Zoe Williams for that. He's coming up next.
I'm body. If you body, we say you body. I represent with them killers, hey. Third Wall, Kelly, your projects, we got our own thing. It's a small hood, but it's all good. And Mr. Rogers ain't got nothing on my neighborhood. I represent nothing but G's. From Richmond, California, all the way back to New Orleans. That murder capital of the world, so fool, watch your back.